Now, if you're Christian, like church Christian, indoctrinated Christian, you're probably not going to like what I have to say. But if you're open-minded, then it's important that you listen. Because this is very important information and this is very important truth. I am going to talk about the process of being holy, the process of being whole. This is what we're going through right now. And this process is what is called the leavening. This other people will call it the harvest or the rapture. It is the process of raising up and becoming whole. Some will pass the test, others will not. So this is an amalgamation of videos that I have come across that all speak to the same thing. And I wanted to use them as an example of showing you what this actually means so that I can basically drill it home that this is what's going on and this is the work we have to do. Okay, so this video here is by a young lady in Ireland who has, I don't know, 25 subscribers, and she has about 4 videos, but very fascinating information. And the video I want to show right now, I can't go through the whole thing. Unfortunately, the video is very slow, but I will pick pieces of the video so that you can see what she's talking about in terms of she's describing Jesus, an explanation of Christianity in simplistic terms according to old Irish Christianity. And this is before it was ruined by the Templars and all of the people who basically, ruined everything, ruined all religions. And anyway, this is the simplest form of Christianity.
We have, I'm just going to put the chakras in. At the base, at the root, we have the root chakra. And then we have the third eye, heaven.
Okay, so what she's got here, let me show you. She's got the cross, all the chakras. This is the solar plexus, which she later explains is the ego, and she will put a thorn in it and says this is a thorn in the side. The rose, which is the heart chakra, the third eye, and the crown chakra. And this is the moon, which is this is where we're born from. We're born from the moon. And the roots and the vine, and the vine, which is the Kundalini energy. So basically this is a representation of like everything. It's all syncretism.
Depicted like that. So the mother is the throne. The queen. And she's matter. She's the. And when I say basic story of creation, I mean this is like primary education. This is what we would have taught our children. And I think the rose is a symbol of the heart and love. But yeah, so it's a very simple way of bringing in the story of creation. And in the story of the creation, you always need these three. You always need the father. Electric items will have on the power symbol. This is also the vessel, or it can be seen as this electric appliance. That when those two work together creates a new creation, and it's in all of electricity as well. Everything in electricity requires the plus and the minus. But anyway, get back to, I could go on so many tangents, I just have to sort of stay.
So basically what she's saying is that this is the male and the female being the moon, and then this being the on button, or the sun, or the cross, and the two, the negative and the positive, they form creation.
Go. And it's man's own will. It's like, it's our free will, if you like. It's the ego, and this is the age that we've been living through. This is what we're starting to come out of now. And you know, thy will be done, not mine, but thy will be done. So this is our will. And when we come into the heart, we're coming into a collective space, like everybody's equal in the heart. But here in the ego, we're living in, if we haven't risen above the ego, then we're living in, you could say, we're living in the world of flesh. This is the physical realm. And there's nothing wrong with the physical realm, it's great. But if it's cut off from the spiritual realm, people can live just for physical things alone. They just live for their flesh. Very simplest, and male and female energy can be seen as the yin and yang. And in order for us to come into the heart, we have to balance these four forces. So we have to have a balance between our male and female energies, and we have to raise our energy through these three chakras and bring them into the heart.
So what she was saying is you have to balance the four energies, the north and the south, the east and the west, the positive and the negative, the male and the female, with the higher mind and the lower mind, or your Lucifer and your Satan. Now, that's what Epiphany Lectures is also saying.
Talk about chakras, because we're going to go over here just to try to point out some things right here. So if you're dealing with the Kabbalah Tree of Life, you know you have Yakin and Boaz. So the negative side would be the feminine side, the positive side would be the masculine side. So you're dealing with masculine, which is radiation or electric. So you remember Jesus was called Emmanuel, which means just like God, or man and God, or God and man, or something like that. El is electricity. Then you have Mary Magdalene, which is gravity, or magnetic, or Magdalene. So Magdalene is magnetism. So you put them together, you have Christ, which is the middle, that middle pole. When you balance from both, you have Christ. So you have Jesus and his counterpart, which is Mary Magdalene. So electricity, you're trying to balance electricity and magnetism to make you become the Christ. Okay? Alright, so some of the things Christ is, because this is Jesus, which is the name, Christ is the title. It means the anointed. So this is when you, remember, as a Hebrew, you're just a pineal gland, the third eye, because you're Eber. So look at my Eber video. But when you decalcify or you illuminate that by raising the Kundalini energy up, or the Satan energy, or Saturn energy, that's when you become Israelite. Because at the bottom you're Jacob until you wrestle with the angel of light. You're trying to get light. So you wrestle by sacrificing your lower nature, which is your crossbones. You're sacrificing your crossbones, or your thigh bones, or your penis. Because remember, they pulled his penis out of socket. Jacob fought with the angel all night, and then at the top became Israel. Alright. So basically, you remember Lucifer said he was the morning star. So did Jesus. Jesus said, I am the morning star. So astrologically, right before sunset and right before sunrise, you can see Venus, but then the sun blocks that out. So Venus is the brightest star right before the sun rises and right after the sun sets. So, but on your body, it's basically just talking about right now, Venus is occupying in the tower. The lady in the tower in every mythology is Venus, or Lucy, because the new movie is coming out, the pineal gland. But that's calcified, so we have to redeem it by bringing this energy up here. All right, to gold. So we're going from being lead to gold.
Now this gentleman here, his name is Benjamin Balderson. He takes it from a Norse perspective, and so I'm going to have to explain a little bit before he gets into it, because it's essentially the same diagram. If you've been following my videos, I've mentioned Epiphany Lectures before, and I've shown his diagram and his structure before. All of these diagrams are essentially the same thing. If you've also seen videos by Lord Osseron, it's the same thing. It's the Kabbalah Tree of Life. This is the same structure. It is the twin pillars. It is the cross. Here, okay, so here is Odin. So now Odin represents the higher mind. Ville represents the lower mind. So that would be, Odin would be Lucifer. And Ville would be Satan. And V would be Jesus. So V, if you remember, Epiphany Lectures said Yeshua is the name, right? So V is the ego, is the name. And Odin is the higher mind or the Godhead. And then this is Ville, which is the lower mind, which is the salt. Odin is the oil. So anything above the middle is oil, and anything below is the salt or the crystalline nature. And this is the oil nature, which is why you say when you have merged the two, you become the anointed one, because you have merged the salt with the oil, or the matter with the oil. You become anointed, or the Christ, the Christos oil. So that's how I understand it to be anyway.
We have availability of 7 chakras. Odin activated his all-seeing eye. That's this eye. He activated it and then took it and threw it down the well, because here's where your thought is, here's where your wisdom is. Thought is something that you want to see happen. I would like to build a house. I want it to be like this. I would like myself to be this person in the future. This is the past. This is where the power was of it. This is where it actually is. It's a thing. So he throws his eye down the well, and the oil's job in a plant is to make the salts bioavailable. This side is the voltage. The voltage is the pull. The pull doesn't actually do anything. It calls for the power, the amperage. This is the pull. This is the amperage. So this side opens up this side. When you're talking about a plant, these oils are going to make these salts bioavailable to you. So when you eat the salts actually can do something, and it's not a hard crystal that you can't process. So he threw his eye down the well. That means when he activated and opened this eye, his Godhead, his all-seeing eye, he threw it down the well and opened up his wisdom, his all-knowing eye, his all-powerful eye. Then Odin hung himself on Yggdrasil for 9 days. During that 9 days, what you're doing is this is when you're going through the process of burning out this ego. Odin sacrificed himself to himself. So what he's doing is sacrificing the Ve in order for the Vili and the Odin minds to reach their purity, their epitome. Once this is burnt out, you put these two minds together. And that is what the alchemical marriage is. This is all the great work. So when these oils and these salts get married, they become one. After you've completely cleansed all of this out, and you take this pure oil and you've completely cleansed all of this out, and you put them together under heat, they will lock together. If we lived our entire life without any heat, this would never become active. You would never, ever be able to make this active, because that only activates under the fire. Here's your tree, and when you activate your Godhead and activate your salt mind, and you put them together, the two lock in together, and there you have your snake biting its tail, your Jormungandr. And now, because of that, because you've taken out this interference, when instead of having a contract or an engineer that has to go to the contractor, to go to the part house, to go back to the contractor, to try and get something to manifest on this plane, the engineer and the parts house are both here at the same time. So it's thought happen, manifestation, all right here.
So now we're talking about instant manifestation, which is what they are trying to do, the elites, the controllers, whatever you want to call them. They are trying to mimic that using 5G and the Internet of Things. They're trying to copy what is going to happen naturally so that we do not tap into our Godhead, that we think we're doing it when it's actually happening through technology. All right, this is Stovilla Elohim Ra, and he says the same thing.
You know, this is light and darkness. You don't want to be just one. You know what I mean? You got to find your center, your essence, your S. Makes the yin-yang sign, the center. You need to balance. Find your balance in there, your essence, S, essence, you know?
So today, I came across this post from RussellingAround. He does tarot card readings, and he happened to mention Vele and Ve, these are Odin cards. And so I just wanted to share what he had to say, in particular referring to this.
Didn't they wink at us at the beginning? So Vili and Ve are Odin's brothers, and they created the world. They made the world after the gods in Asgard slayed the giant Ymir, and out of his eyebrow they created the world. That's how enormous he was as a giant. But the point is that the world Midgard was created through this kind of poisonous, aggressive, anti-spiritual energy, and now we're moving away from that towards this energy of divine feminine manifestation and co-creation. So we have the energy of Vili and Ve almost, it's not like they're holding the world, it's like they're offering it to you. They're saying, our time is done now. It's time to hand the world from spirit to the people, to the masses, to give control of the earth back to those that it belongs to.
So as you see, all of these are connected and saying the same thing. It's all about wholeness. It's all about becoming whole or holy. Balancing. It's balancing Jeshua, balancer, Ma'at, truth, the way. It's all about balance. Now, some of you may not like this message, but I think it's a beautiful message. It's a very simple message. You have to accept all sides of you. You have to accept the good and the bad. You have to be whole with yourself. So we're rising up the cross here into the heart mind, which is the Christ consciousness. So this is the sun. I want to show you that this representation is also in the physical. Now this is Lindsay Harris, and what he does is he makes videos explaining or illustrating the flat earth model. I've recommended him before among a few of the other channels that I've already mentioned. And in this video, he talks about the rose. Now, he calls the rose the moon, which is not correct. It's the sun.
This is the awakening, the sacrificial stories in ancient times where they don't actually physically kill you. It just takes away your old beliefs, brings you into the spiritual world, reborn. And this is where all the crazy cultures in the past used to sacrifice young children. Silly. It's like circumcision, all that sort of garbage. Bola was worshipped as the deity Boa by the ancestors of Albanians. Bola appears in the coat of arms of the house of Bua Shipta. That was the where they had the double-sided sword and the cross and the rose, because the rose represents the moon, the female. It's sort of the pattern that the moon takes on its cycle. So it's the shape of the petals.
So this is the torus, the Bible, with the vortex in the middle, and this is the Milky Way tornado in the middle here, and the sun is embedded in the Milky Way, and this sun is Jesus on the cross. This is Jesus hanging on the cross. I'll show it to you in a minute. So this is the vertical view. This is looking down into the vortex here, right? So this is the tornado, the spiral, the Milky Way that the sun is embedded in. This is the sun. And he has the moon revolving around. And these are the phases of the moon. And then the moon goes into the sun and charges up, starts its circuit all over again. And again, here you've got magnetism and electricity, the red shift, blue shift. So everything that was represented on the cross that we saw earlier in the other videos is represented in nature. And now this looks a bit like a rose, doesn't it? So this Kundalini energy, the earth magnetism, the magnetic energy that comes up and around and goes into the Milky Way and charges up the sun, that would be the Kundalini energy. It charges up the sun, which is electric. And so this is all projected out into the dome. Anyway, I'm not going to explain the whole system. But essentially, this is the same representation in the physical. This is Jesus on the cross, see? This is the vortex, the Milky Way in the middle, the sun embedded in the heart here. And then this is Jesus on the cross here. His arms out here, his head hanging over here. And then this is the Kundalini energy spiraling up around it, or the roots of the vine of the rose spiraling up through the 7 chakras. The rose in the middle here, right, on that cross. And this would be the crown at the top. So see, this is Jesus on the cross, crown at the top, the eye at the top, and then this is the sun in the middle here, the roots and the Kundalini energy spiraling up. And here's Jesus on the cross. It looks exactly the same, because it is exactly the same. This is what it is. But anyway, this is what we have to do. So thanks for listening. I'll talk to you later.